Greetings, everyone. This is Gerard Energy for Filipino Soul, aka S.G.I.B magazine. This stands for Soldiers Got Intentions. Believe that, because everyone should be soldiering for something. A dream, a goal.
New message is received from 156.
A train of thought or something. And on the PBG's Productions, this stands for Photos by Gerard, the best in freelance publicity photography. And owner of the Borough Corporations, that's B-E-R-Y-L. That stands for Be Ever Remembering Your Love, my not-for-profit entity of me. Well, right now I am in Korea. No, not North, South Korea. You know, and I've had a journey so far. It's been kind of wild. It's been very good, I must say. When I first got to the airport, I wanted to do a live because I was in this area by myself. And then out of nowhere, it's like invasions of Chinese all around. I guess the flight was leaving, or they told them what gate it was going to be in, and they're over there. And then this live thing is okay, but it's sometimes kind of scary for the simple reason that I may want to pause and hold my thought, and rather than you just looking at a blank screen for a few minutes, or mine looking like a deer caught in the headlights, I'd rather do this way. You know, let me tell you, I always tell people that I have angels around me. So, when I was looking, I have a comp for a room, you know, for my 10-hour layover here in Korea before I head to Las Vegas. And the funny thing is that I met an old woman, and she explained to me, I could tell by her attire, she was of a religious sect. I thought she was a nun. But she explained to me, which I don't remember, but all I know is the nun wears their ring on the left and the Pope wears hers on the right. So she wears her on the right. So if you know about what type of sister she is, then that's who I was talking to. And she told me what today is. Today is Saint Gerard Day. How about that? I mean, his name is Saint Magula. Saint Magula, I think his name is. And he was the saint known for, he made the clothes, the yarn for the Pope to wear. And there was one time when he was running out of material and he had to stretch the material. So he was always known as someone to, I guess in our terminology, able to make $1 out of 15 cents. So that's who he was. So she told me, and I've been with her for a little bit. You know, she's been taking me around, you know, like a mother would, you know, in tow. You know, although I'm capable of doing it myself, but I felt more like I was in tow. So speaking of money, you know, I came here on a very shoestring kind of a budget, and you know, it's not that I have to. It's that I help people. You know, I often wondered where that trait came from in me, where I was so much of a giving person when I had nothing to give. So I remember when I was a child, I used to read these. I couldn't read. I never really learned how to read. You know, my parents never helped me with my homework or make sure my homework was done or even gave a damn, because, you know, they both drank, you know. My older brother, he was, I come from a mixed family. Half of the time when I'm sitting somewhere on a bar or something like this and I'm talking to someone, you know, we done talked about politics, often a white guy or something like this. We already talked about politics. We already talked about, you know, international affairs. We already talked about some of the events that's going on. The events of the day. You know, we've already talked about those. And so it's always interesting because at some point in time, they'll say, you know, my grandfather was from the South. And I stop them right there. I said, wait, time out. Because I know which direction you're about to take this conversation to. And I don't have no apple in that pie. I'm not going to, you want feeling that you want to diminish my existence to now want to talk about slavery and back in the 60s and 70s, you know. I mean 60s and 50s and what have you. Because see, I come from an interracial family where my father was white, my oldest brother is white, who chose to live a white world, and when he was in high school, he learned words like darky and blacky. He used to come home and beat my ass. I remember once being under the sink, cowering, and all I see is a foot, darky, blacky, blacky, like this. And he would beg me not to tell my father, and I wouldn't tell my father, you know, but my father knew, you know, my father knew. And then he would put us on, and my brother and I, you know, who's also black, and had another brother who was white, who was killed tragically in a fire, and he would say, although your skin is different and your hair is different, he said, you're still mine, and I love you all the same. And that was the only time in my life I ever heard the word love, was when he was telling that. Matter of fact, my oldest brother, we were in a car once, and at this time the cars had cigarette lighters. The cigarette lighters didn't pop out. Cigarette lighters you had to hold. And so he held the cigarette lighter in, and when it got hot, he took it and pressed it to my lips. You know, so, you know, imagine, how painful that was. You know, when I went through, when I had my first rehab, and I remember my first rehab because I was in Los Angeles, and I always remember that day because that was the day when the space shuttle went up with the teachers and all them. Christine McCullough, I think her name is, Sally McCullough, and we were sitting around watching it, and as it took off, I said, watch that shit blow up, and it blew up. So it was really, you know, impacted to me, and it left a deep impression on me on when that happened, because I was in my first rehab. I remember when I was young, I used to look at these magazines, and at this time they always had these pictures, help a child in somewhere, help a child in somewhere, you know, for 15 cents or something, you can adopt this child, you know, and that's what I did, you know. They sent me a nice photograph of the child, and mind you, I'm a child myself, but there was something in me that compelled me to want to help. The less unfortunate. You know, and you know, I paid for it as long as I can, and I didn't have money. And I have to say that Time Life books on crime and punishment were my first two official initiation into not paying my bills because I stopped paying. I got my first edition of Crime and Punishment. I was obsessed with crime. I was obsessed with murders. I was obsessed with serial killers. You know, and the Time Life book fed that type of hunger that I had inside me. And so, as I got older, I still tend to want to help people. And when I'm in the Philippines, you know, now don't get me wrong, I helped organizations. I've helped, you know, Boys Club. I helped, what other type of organizations have I been a part of? NAACP, I was a youth advisor. Speaking of that, let me tell you a story. Yvonne Patterson, who was the president at that time of NAACP, she called me and asked me, he said, Gerard, you know, I have this 18-year-old or this 16-year-old, 16, 17-year-old, his grandmother's having problems with him. Would you mentor him? So I said, sure. I never really mentored anyone on a one-on-one, so I said, okay, sure. So when I met him, he was tall, and you can always tell he was awkward. You know, when you have children who are a lot taller than their peers, they often tend to want to walk hunched over because they're trying to make themselves not so tall. And I can tell that he felt kind of an outsider because, you know, just in his demeanor, he started drawing tattoos on his hand and all this stuff like this and what have you. So, you know, it was right at the beginning phase where other things were attracting him to want to be a part of. So, okay, so I took him and I asked him, I said, you know, what do you want to do? You know, he didn't know. Remember I said it's easy to know what it is that what you want to do in life. The hardest thing is to know what it is that you do want to do in life. And so I said, do you like sports? He said, yeah. I said, well, what kind of sports? He said, I like football. I said, yeah, who's your favorite player? He said, Michael Vick. So I said, why you like Michael Vick? He said, because he's in prison. I said, no, he's in prison. This is why you like Michael Vick, because he's in prison? So I said, okay, how can I turn this negative into a positive? Because that's what you always want to do. You always want to think about how to do a flip side or something. So I said, okay, if you like Michael Vick, I brought him to my place. I said, let's open up a Long Island Michael Vick fan club. So I got the domain name, put it down there, and what have you. I said, now your job is to get all the stats on Michael Vick, everything that he does. We're going to try to contact him in prison, and we're going to try to make this fan club appealing to him, because our goal is when he got out of prison, he would say, yes, I want to come meet this Michael Club fan club, because they were there for me. So when we started gathering the facts, and I had it on a big widescreen TV, and I told him, okay, read what it says. And then I realized he couldn't read. And it was like, wow, okay, he can't read. So I said, okay, I gotta find something else. So that was put aside because we know that wouldn't work, because he wouldn't be able to gather the stats and all that stuff. So I said, how can I get a message through to him about trying to decide now on what it is that he wants to do in life? So I said, okay. I said, come on. So I took him to a fire department. I took him to a fire department. Inside that fire department, they had firemen, had a police officer there who volunteered on his off time. And I walked in there and I said, Commander, I said, I'm mentoring this young man. Can you tell him what you guys do? And they said, oh, sure. Oh, we climb ladders. He let him climb the pole, put the boots on, the helmet. He's in the sea. I mean, he's having the time of his life. And they are ecstatic at telling him about the job that they're doing. So then we walked out of there, and as we were walking out, I said to him, I said, did you notice anything? He said, no. I said, no, what thing? Did you notice anything? He said, no. I said, you notice how happy they were about what they are doing? He said, yeah. I said, okay, that's number one. Remember, you want to be happy at what it is you want to do in life. So I got to flip it and show him the other side. And what better place to show him is at a taxi stand. So I took him to a taxi stand, and the first driver, I said, driver, I'm mentoring this young guy. Tell him what it's like being a candidate. Oh, it sucks. The people sucks. I work long hours. I hate it. You know what I'm saying? It's not enough time. I don't make enough money. It's miserable. It stinks. You know, I said, okay. So as we were walking out, I said, did you notice anything? He said, what? I said, you notice how miserable he was at doing his job? He said, yeah. Okay, there's 2 lessons, and this is where you need to start at. You have to make a choice that if you want to be happy doing what it is that you want to do for the rest of your life, or do you want to be working a job miserable that you want to be doing for the rest of your life? So you first have to decide on what makes you happy. Now, I take the young man into New York. I got a big Lincoln, big shot. I got a Lincoln, and I'm driving in the city, and he reached over and blew the horn. So I didn't say nothing. He reached over and blew the horn. I didn't say nothing. I said he blew the horn again. I was talking to this little son of a gun blow the heart till he passes out. He's like this. He was so tired of blowing the horn. You're in New York. Everybody blows the horn. Blow your horn. Blow it to your heart's content. Nobody gives a damn. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, so the next couple of days we were on the island. And he reached over the horn. I said, oh, you can't do that. He said, why? You let me do it the other day in New York. I said, yes. I said, New York, there's no noise ordinance. In Long Island, there is. You can't make unnecessary noise like horn blowing. So we drove a little bit. He blew the horn, beep, and he blew the horn again. And so right then I pulled the car over to the side. I put it in gear, and I turned to him. And I said to him, do you know what you just told me when I asked you not to do something and you did it? You know what you're telling me? He says, what? You're telling me that I don't give a fuck what you say. I'm going to do what I want to do. Hell with you. And he looked at me like this. Because that's what you do when someone asks you not to do something. And you turn around and do it. And at that moment in time, I decided that mentoring is not something I'm going to do. You know, because the kids at that time, you know, there's too much outside influence to want to be a mentor. So anyway, that was that story. So getting back to volunteering and doing things for people, you know, I volunteered for Hillary Clinton when I was in Vegas, you know, on her campaign election for first woman president of the United States. Not so much for her because I wanted to see the first woman president of the United States in my lifetime. I campaigned for Hillary in 2004 before she was a senator. When Bush and Gore were running, I had a sign that said, first woman president for 2008, vote for the Bush in 2004. You get it, Bush. You know, I'm handing out flyers, you know, like this because I wanted to see it. Because I always thought that a woman would have more compassion for what's happening inside of this country than what's happening outside of it. But then, of course, Obama came along. You know, Murphy's Law, what can't go wrong with. And of course, Obama, you know, I had to vote for Obama. Yeah, I voted for him because he was black, you know, and people want to turn that around as if it's some type of, what time is it? Okay, as if it's some type of handicap. You shouldn't vote for him because he's black. Well, let me tell you something. Governor Como was backed by the Italians. Mayor Bean of New York was backed by Jews. Eliot Spitzer, who was the governor of New York, who was being groomed to be the first Jewish president of the United States until they got caught with his finger in the cookie jar. You know, and so it's not unusual to vote for people of your kind. Irish cops, what do you think they call them Irish cops? They don't call them Irish cops because they were Italian, you know, or Hispanic. They call them Irish because they were Irish. You know, so there's nothing wrong with voting for your own kind. There were black Republicans who voted for Obama because they didn't want to be on that side of history when this grandchild came to them and said, who'd you vote for president, Grandma? He wanted to be able to say proudly, I vote for Obama, whatever, right back.